Hey guys, another episode of Camp Catch Create. I went camping a few weeks ago, and while I was out there I cut some abalone shells that I had ran through the tumbler, drilled the holes through them, and then a few weeks before that, when I harvested some Pismo clams down at the dunes, I didn't really want to throw away the shells because I had been going clamming a lot, and I was trying to find a different use for what I was doing with them instead of just throwing bucket loads of perfectly good clam shells into the trash. So what I decided to do was cut them into button shapes also, just like I had done with the abalone. I didn't know if you could even tumble clamshells, but 4 weeks later they did come out polished. They came out pretty nice, actually a lot thicker than what the abalone ones are. So I have them, they're tumbled, they're shiny, they're done. I'm just in the last stage where I'm going to drill the holes through them. I'm going to be showing you a clip of how I do that, but let me show you a couple videos of when I was cutting the shells originally on my tile saw, and then also when I was working on the abalones at the campground. All right, see you in a bit. I used a lid to trace rounds onto the sides of the shell. I can usually get about 2 to 3 per side. I then cut in between those, and then I trim the edges off. I cut as close to the outside of the Sharpie mark as I can. Keep in mind they don't have to be perfect, and you don't want to make them too small because they're going to shrink in the tumbler. I do want to get them somewhat round, but they don't have to be perfect. That's what the tumbler is there for. Since the clamshells are naturally curved, they're not going to be flat like a coin. One side is thick and the other one is thin. I try to match the thin side by trimming the thicker portion of the shell by holding it sideways and running it parallel to the blade. So this is what they look like after 4 weeks in the tumbler and being polished, before I drilled any holes into them. So this is what the buttons look like after they've been tumbling for 4 weeks. I think they turned out pretty good. I don't know if you can see the shine in the camera or in the sun, but they're pretty polished. I'll get a different shot later. They're not perfect, but they are for the most part round. I already marked a couple of them. They do have a top and a bottom. The bottom's white, it's the inside part of the shell. The backside sometimes has stripes on it. That's how you can tell the difference. I didn't realize that you do have to wear a mask when you're doing these. I don't know if it applies to the clamshells also, but I sent my buddy a video of me cutting the abalones, and he told me right away that they're toxic if you breathe that in, and I think I was just wearing a bandana if anything. And when I was drilling the holes camping into the abalone, I didn't know that either. So yeah, I'm definitely wearing my painter's mask now with the filters and all the good stuff, not just one of those little medical ones, because it is highly toxic. And I was also talking to a doctor on a random doctor's appointment I had, and she confirmed that they are indeed toxic, and she knows people who have gotten sick from it. So live and learn, I guess. I'm gonna finish marking these up. Not a whole lot of science to this part, but I do like to see or envision what the button will look like on something. And since they are oblong or not perfectly round, I try to mark them somewhat spaced out, not too close to the edges, because then that'll crack when you're drilling it. And these are way thicker than the abalones. I'll show you guys those later. This one actually has some stripes on the back end too. Correction, do not use a drill bit because it does not go through like an abalone. It is way thicker and way harder, so I cracked the first one with the drill bit, but the second one with the diamond bit went right through. I was gonna try to wet it, but I kept going since it was already broken anyways, and yeah, apparently that works out. That's with one of these guys. Try to space them out so that when you do lace them, it doesn't crack. They're kind of fragile at this point. Just a little trial and error run there. Submerging it doesn't help. Wetting it and keeping that bit wet does help. So I'm gonna have to do that a million more times. Right here, I'm jumping back and forth between both holes, not drilling all the way through at once. And I'm dunking the shell in water and the bit in water to be able to keep it cool and wet to be able to drill through easier. So after hours and breaking several of them, I found out that you can't drill one hole first and then the second one. You have to drill it halfways and then start on the other one, do that one halfways, and then finish them and jump back and forth while cooling down the bed. So live and learn. Sadly, I broke about 8 of them, and they take a while to bake, so that sucks, but oh well. Hey guys, so I finally finished the clamshells that I started a while ago. Drilling the holes was one of the longest parts. The other one was tumbling them. Tumbling one was just standard 4 weeks, just like the abalone shells. But drilling the holes in these guys was way harder than I expected. The abalones, it was 2-3 seconds and you're done. The clams, they're a lot thicker. I broke a lot of them. I did have a little method toward the end on how to do them without them cracking. But they did, that being said, they came out pretty cool, and I'm super stoked on them, and I probably will definitely make them again. I'm just gonna maybe pace it out a little bit because I just finished these barely, so get some other projects going first, but check out how they came out. These are the abalones. Kind of cool that they have both sides, and I mean obviously the shinier one is the inside of the abalone, but they still came out pretty cool. Don't have a ton of those. I'll have to cut a few more shells, but these were the keepers for the clams. They're like my little treasures in that bag after all the work I put into them. These also have a front and a back side. This is the back. That's the front. Some of them have stripes on them, like this one. And those two. Anyways, you get the idea. I think it'd be cool to do a little combo where you do 1 and 1, maybe put one of these buttons and then one of those, and then kind of stagger them up and down. But yeah, I'll come up with some projects, or I'll trade or barter for them. And these are the ones that I learned on, the fallen soldiers. Had to walk away and take a couple breaths because it's super disappointing when it takes 4 weeks to tumble them and then you crack them right away. So anyways, I'll follow up with you guys on the next project. If you like this video and you want to see more, like, subscribe, and touch base with you guys on the next one.